Winter. To many, winter represents the idea that everything can be cured, that there's a grace period, a great time of holiday and enjoyment, sitting beside a fireplace that's warm and welcoming, roasting marshmallows outside in the cold winter air. Then you go to a party with a few of your buddies, drink some punch that tastes funny, and then trip balls for the next 30 minutes. And you finally wake up next to your buddies with an after-party surprise. Your light one kidney. No, your buddy didn't take your kidney and sell it on the black market for more than it's worth, you raging alcoholic. The doctor presumed you were dead, so he took your kidney, gave it to a worker who then has to work 3 extended hour shifts over the course of 2 days. He'll feel good about his kidney, until he's so worked that he dies from exhaustion. And those buddies, those are bodies, in a corpse pile. One succumbed to frostbite, another died of the common cold, and one child messed up so badly that they got soup all over their body, melting their skin and rendering them dead. Compensation? What do you think I am? Rich?
Get back to work. The city does not feed you to loathe.
What you heard wasn't the rambling of a madman, that's just last Tuesday. In Frostpunk, you play in a steampunk world during the 1800s as an inconceivable race of people, the British. The world was plunged into a second ice age from the eruptions of Mount Tambora and
Krakatoa!
In human history, something similar to what happened actually did occur. The event I'm talking about is the eruption of Mount Tambora that led to the year without summer. I can't really explain it all that well, but there's another YouTuber who made something about this. Essentially, we all love the sun. Do you like the sun? I do. It brings everything, from food, flowers, and the ability to die from heat stroke. And whenever a giant blanket of volcanic ash covers the sun, you're cooked. Grass doesn't grow, birds don't fly, and you're probably gonna die. In this event, 2 volcanoes erupted, and that led to the covering of the sun. And it led to the entire world being covered in a giant blanket of ice and snow. Paranoia had been spreading across the streets that there won't be enough resources for everyone to survive. So brave pioneers had decided to go on a search for generators that had been built only a month prior. If you want to know how hard they are to build, play last autumn. But going out and finding these generators, that's not the hard part. It's managing your FDHH. These stand for food, discontent, hope, and heat. If you don't have enough food, your citizens can starve and they'll die. And a lack of food will raise discontent. It's very easy to keep out during the early game when you just have to build fighting arenas and probably prostitutes, but in the late game it is incredibly hard to deal with. Too much discontent, people will throw you out of the city. And if your hope is completely depleted, people will just start mass leaving the city. And when you're playing a game which involves growing and expanding, you need to hold on to people. As many as you possibly can. Heat will lower discontent and bring up hope. And if you don't keep workplaces warm with heaters or other means, then people will not work. And now we can get to the biggest part of the game, which I adore the most, the law book. In making this video, I had to go to multiple Reddit forums, and I saw people making tier lists that child labor was perhaps the best law in the game. And in my search, I saw people saying that sawdust was better than soup, which I full-heartedly disagree. If you think that soup is not good, especially with the moonshine law, then pack your bags and leave my city because you do not belong here. Some of these laws are incredibly detrimental, such as caring for children and giving extra rations to the sick, when we all know that children yearn for the mines, and I can use overcrowding to fill my medical posts with more and more emaciated souls. I could make children apprentices to doctors and engineers, but they need to work. In my city, a college education actually means something, so I'm gonna keep the engineers incredibly warm and well fed, while little Timmy and his father develop a drinking problem. I mean, nobody cares for children, so it only goes up by like a centimeter. I want you to remember who we're talking about here. Victorian era British people. Oh, little Timmy, how old is ya?
Father, I'm 4 years old.
It's about time we get to work then.
Mother, what will dinner be tonight? Oh, darling, don't worry yourself.
Oi, Patty, remember those 2 pence I was gonna get your dress? I'm gonna get shit-faced.
Like any Paradox game, events are a rich source of exposition and world building, and also so hysterically brutal that they make you adjust your code of morals. Drunks wanna bang people? Throw them out of the city. A worker won't stop complaining that he doesn't want to die like his buddy, so he wants to go home for the day. I'm not giving you extra food, get back to work. And for starting the game, I'm gonna give you a little tip here. Don't have people just run over to the piles. Set up a gathering post, and after that gathering post, a medical bay. Don't build a cookhouse unless you're on the 3rd day. Manage your resources. The crates, piles, and scraps will soon be completely depleted of the resource. So I implore you, as soon as possible, develop 3 workshops built right next to each other. And when you do that, you get 150% efficiency in research. Just as the Victorian era was a time of great advancement through the invention of the steam engine and the bolstering force and practice of industrial production, you need to be ready to change from gathering to producing, building things like sawmills, coal thumpers, and a charcoal kiln that a child accidentally slipped into. But while you're doing all this, make sure everyone is well accounted for. And a strategy to deal with the food is that you shouldn't keep people inside of the cookhouse at all times. I will be one of many to tell you that starving your citizens is a very good strategy in the game, as these aren't meals, these are rations, and you gotta work over the course of multiple days to earn your bread. And every once in a while you're playing and minding your own business, you're gonna be hit with a cold front. Dealing with a cold front can be incredibly painful, especially if your factories and facilities are far away from the generator. And while I'm also talking about factories and facilities and also research, because your people are literally living in a crater, time is incredibly hard to keep track of, and therefore your work hours are shorter. Go into the logbook, press on the emergency shift, and after that you'll get access to the extended shift. Remember to use the emergency shift sparingly, as a multitude of events will occur if you keep using it. When you use the shift, it causes people to work for 24 hours straight, but if you continue to use the emergency shift in a very unsparing manner, people will die from exhaustion, have a higher chance of getting sick or just having an overall injury. But the worst of all is one of the final events that you'll get if you keep spamming. People will ask for the simplest form of compensation, which is food, which can be incredibly detrimental if you're using simple meals.
What if we could eat the trees?
Sawdust, or meal additives. As I went through the very bowels of hell to see what it does, I can still confirm this law is pretty ass. If you're like me and you can't really do heat management and everyone manages to get sick, you'll know that signing a law that makes it more likely for people to get sick isn't a good idea.
But Jason, you pump them out faster, and you don't get discontent, and the moonshine law goes with it.
Sure, but I don't want useless people filling up my sickbay because they ate something wrong. To avoid giving myself a brain aneurysm, I'm moving on. I'm gonna tell you about the scouts and their adventures. The scouts' main purpose is to go around the world to find resources and even refugees. My scouts are coming in and they have 6 steam cores on them. And it flew over my head for a little while, but they brought back an entire automaton. Step forward, scouts. Time to see what you've declared. Alright. So, what did you bring back from your voyage? Well, you say we brought back some wood, metal, some coal, few steam cores to help us live through the winter. Yes. And what is that? Oh, that's the bloody Iron Giant. After building the scout beacon and finding some places of interest, we can finally build outposts. An outpost can give you a steady supply of a singular resource, be it wood, metal, or even steam cores. But due to the storm, I couldn't even start anything. The storm is something I'll have to, address. But before I do that, some random dude decided to come to our city for no particular reason and tell us we're screwed. And this is where the game decides to give you a purpose path, faith, and order. I didn't go down faith because I'm not a virgin, but these paths have very big ups and downs. Order simply manages your discontent and workplace efficiency, while faith manages hope and well-being, both of which have incredibly cracked laws. In order, the foreman's 40% efficiency rate also adds on to automatons, so you can get up to 200 efficiency, and faith has an abundance of different buildings and services that can raise hope and lower discontent almost immediately. If a ton of people die, give a sermon and they'll all be happy. If a ton of people are starving, tell them God will fill your stomach. But now as I've grown through our colony, I now have to express the massive dent in our way, the storm. The storm is the ultimate test of endurance and the ability to survive. Temperatures reaching below -150 degrees Celsius or -238 degrees Fahrenheit. But to me, the storm is the ultimate show of my suffering. When I got through the storm, I was completely reliant on 3 automatons, 2 toddlers, and a single man working in a sawmill.
This could take fall. Yes! Oh! I did it! I did it! No way. I need to take a minute.
The storm was a constant and brutal struggle. No, I really recommend that you play this game. It is incredibly good. It tests your endurance, sanity, and really likes to beat it over your head that you're being an idiot for not putting children in the mines. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and you are beautiful people.